Section 7.3 is adding and subtracting rational expressions that have the same denominator. So you know that the numerator is the top, denominator is the bottom. So if this bottom is the same, then we can add them. So let's jump right in. If you'll remember, when you're adding fractions, oh my goodness, I'm dropping stuff. When you're adding fractions, you're going to keep your denominator in the answer. So whatever your denominator is, if it's the same in both fractions, then you can simply keep that denominator. And then you're just going to add or subtract the numerators. Just straight across, add or subtract them. Now make sure to put a note in your notes. Make sure you put a big star. Make sure to watch the subtraction. The subtraction has to go throughout the polynomial. So make sure the subtraction goes all the way through. If you're adding, then the signs stay the same. It's no big deal. But if you've got a subtraction problem, make sure that if you're subtracting a polynomial, and we'll do one on the other board. But if this were a subtraction, then you've got to subtract both of the numbers in the binomial or in the polynomial if there's more than two. So make sure to mark a big star by that. And then the last step is to simplify if needed. So if you've got a fraction that can reduce, then you need to make sure to do that. Let's do them. So 5x over 14 plus x over 14, your denominators are the same, so you keep the denominator. And now you just add your numerators. 5x plus 1x is 5x plus x. 5 plus 1 is 6, so you've got 6x over 14, and that is your final answer. You're done. The next one, the denominator is a little bit more complex, but that's okay. It's still the same. We're still going to use the denominator. Y plus 5 is the same as y plus 5, so y plus 5 is your denominator. And y minus 3 is your numerator. And y minus 3 can't be combined anymore because the y is different from the 3. So there's your final answer, y minus 3 over y plus 5. Now be careful. You can't reduce these y's, because they're part of a binomial. So remember that, okay? You can't reduce part of a binomial. If there's a plus or a minus involved, you got to take the whole thing, or it's all or nothing, okay? All right. The next one is a little bit more complex, of course. That's what we always do. N plus 3 is your denominator, and that stays the same. Your numerator now is n squared minus 9. And now if you'll look, n squared minus 9 is a perfect square minus a perfect square. So you can factor that into two parentheses. N squared is n times n. 9 is 3 times 3. And if one is positive and one negative, then you have a negative 9. And that means also that your middle term drops out, which is what you want. So you should start recognizing those now. The perfect square minus a perfect square are the square root plus the square root, and then the square root minus the square root. All right? And you're going to put all of that over n plus 3. But then if you'll notice, you have this whole n plus 3. Remember I said you can't cancel out just the n, but the whole n plus 3 is the same. So you can cancel that, and your final answer is simply n minus 3 over 1, which is just n minus 3. Okay? So if you have a 1 in the denominator, you can leave it off. If you have a 1 in the numerator, make sure you leave it there. Okay, to keep a denominator. All right, next one, here we go. Oh my goodness, we're flying through this. So 15 is still a denominator. And we've got 4m minus a negative 8. Remember, if you're subtracting, you're going to always add the opposite. So now this is 4m plus 8, and it won't reduce anymore. It won't factor out. So you're finished. 4m plus 8 over 15, and you're done. You're starting to think, these are easy. Good. I'm glad you think so. Here we go. 5 is the common denominator here, so keep it over 5. And then you've got 7y minus 13 plus y plus 8. So now you can look, this will simplify. And I'm going to make sure that I can go down further. So make sure you've got your y's together and your constant terms together. Oh yeah, here we go. So now you've got 7y plus 1 is 8y. And negative 13 plus 8, oh dear, is that 5? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yep. Minus 5, it's a negative 5 because the 13 is bigger and it's negative. And that's all over 5. And be careful, you can't reduce by those 5s because this is a binomial. 8y minus 5. So you have to leave the whole 8y minus 5 over 5. Alrighty? So far so good? Let's give you a couple more. I'm going to erase while you write these two problems out. Two more problems that are a little bit more difficult, but it's all the same thing. It's just a little bit more complexity to the same idea. So as long as you've got those steps written out, and in this lesson, all of your denominators are going to be the same, so you don't even have to worry with common denominators yet. Haha, guess what's coming next time? All right, so x squared minus 5x minus 13 all over x minus 6. And you're going to add to that 3x minus 11 all over x minus 6. And now you look and you see, well, x minus 6 is your common denominator already. And so now you've got x squared minus 5x minus 13. And this is plus, so the signs all stay the same. And I should have squished it that way more, huh? Plus 3x minus 11. So now all you need to do is combine your like terms. So x squared doesn't have any other squares. You've got a negative 5x plus 3x. And so the signs are different. So you subtract. So you've got 2 and the 5 is bigger. So negative 2x and negative 13 and negative 11. The signs are the same. So you add a negative 24 all over x minus 6. Now, when you're simplifying, you need to look and see, oh, this is a trinomial. I wonder if I can factor it out. So try it and see. X squared is x times x. The third term is negative, so the signs are different. And 24 is either 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, or 4 times 6. Ooh, lots of choices. But we know that we're going to subtract, and we want a difference of 2. So 4 and 6 give us a difference of 2, and we want our biggest number to be negative. So put your negative 6, positive 4. So x plus 4 over x minus 6, times x minus 6 all over x minus 6, and check that out. The x minus 6's match, and so x plus 4 is your final answer. All right. So once you get your answer, make sure that once you add them all together and combine like terms, make sure that if that binomial, or if you've got a trinomial, that you factor it out to its parts so that you can reduce anything that will reduce and make it simpler. All right. Ready for the last one? Check it out. Fast lesson. Here we go. All right. So now 2x over x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus x minus 2 all over x squared plus 4x plus 4. All right, the reason I wanted to show you this is because this is one of those where you're subtracting a binomial. So you're going to keep the whole trinomial in your denominator. X squared plus 4x plus 4 is your denominator because they're the same. And then you're going to have 2x minus, now be careful, you're going to have minus the whole x minus 2. Okay, you're subtracting the whole binomial. So when you subtract the whole binomial, you need to change the signs on both of them. So this is a positive x, so now it becomes a negative x. And this is a negative 2, so now it becomes a positive 2. And that's because we're subtracting the whole binomial. So make sure that negative goes through the whole binomial. So now, when you combine like terms, 2x minus x is just an x plus 2. And now we have x squared plus 4x plus 4. And we say, will this denominator factor? Let's look and see. X times x is x squared. The third term is positive, so we're going to keep the signs the same. And the signs are going to be positive because this term is positive. And 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 plus 2 is 4. So, we've got something else that'll cancel because our whole numerator, x plus 2, is one of those factors from your denominator, x plus 2 times x plus 2. So the whole the whole binomial cancels. And now this is one of those times where I was saying if your numerator is equal to 1, you can't just drop it out and say, oh, this is x plus 2. All right? You've got to keep your x plus 2 in your denominator, so you need a placeholder in your numerator. So the answer is 1 over x plus 2. All right? Easy sneezy. Easy day today because all of your denominators are going to be the same. So make sure that you, step 1, just bring your denominator over, and step 2, add or subtract your numerators. Make sure the part you're going to watch is those if you're subtracting. Make sure that you're subtracting everything in your second numerator. And then don't forget to reduce. So anything that will factor out in your answer, you need to make sure to factor that out. Easy sneezy. See you next time.